Now, in recent years, enduro bikes have gained massive popularity, almost being the go-to bike for a lot of people out there. And it did get me thinking, are downhill bikes obsolete?
Hang fire there, Rich. We're in Saalbach, we're in the mountains, we've got a ski lift over there, got some pretty sweet downhill runs. I'm going to argue that the downhill bike is still king of the hill.
All right, Neil, all right. Well, look, there's only one way to find out, bud, and I think we better drop in to some trails.
So what's the differences between the two bikes?
Well, Neil, this is my enduro bike. It's my Orbea Rallon. It's 160mm travel at the back, 170mm travel at the front. Some of the main differences are, well, look, this. It's got a dropper seat post, so I can raise and lower my seat according to the trail that I'm on for up and downhill. And the same with the gears. I've got a big wide ratio cassette back there, so I've got all the gears from really hard to really easy, so I can pedal up even the steepest of hills. It's a carbon frame. I've got carbon wheels. I'm trying to keep the weight a little bit light because I still want to be able to ride this all day. But what about this big old thing of yours?
Yes, this is my Newt-proof descent. There's a few big differences. The first one has got way more travel. So it's 200mm travel front and rear. Obviously now you've got a triple clamp fork to give you the stiffness for all that extra travel. It's got less gears, only 7-speed, and I've got a fixed post because it's not made for pedaling. So it's super stiff, super strong, loads of travel for bombing down the hill. But if you want to pedal it at all, if it's remotely flat, it's really hard work. Downhill racers love a bit of adjustability, and downhill bikes cater for that. So obviously with the triple clamp fork, you can slide the fork legs through the clamps a little bit up or down to either sort of raise the bar height and slacken the bike out, or the opposite, lower it and steepen the head angle a little bit. Also, you've got adjustable chainstay and wheelbase on the descent, so I've got it in the middle, but you can shorten it or lengthen it. And you've got 4 different options for the main pivot position to adjust that suspension curve. Check out my tiny little 1125 7-speed cassette and my massive 200mm brake rotors.
There are a few other key differences on this bike to Neil's big-ass downhill bike as well. A few things that do set it apart. So things like, I can take water. You can't even do that on his. And enduro riders, they love to be able to sort of stash things away and take spares with them for those big days out. And I can stash stuff in my frame. It's really useful. I've got my bike computer mounted up top as well there, so I can check out my stats during my big long ride. I very much doubt you can do that on a downhill bike. Also slightly smaller brakes. So although it's the same size front rotor at 200mm, the rear rotor, because the forces are slightly less, is a 180mm. 1051 cassette, like I said, so all the gears there to get me up, and a slightly thinner tyre casing as well to try and keep that weight down.
Right, so trail one, that's pretty bike parky. It's fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, how'd you feel on that?
Do you know what? It didn't really feel out of its depth. The chatter on some of the fast braking bumps wasn't particularly pleasant.
I've definitely ridden rougher braking bumps tracks in the Alps than that. But tell you what, there's a really rocky bit, which I felt like a bomb on this. Like, you kind of feel like you're not going to puncture because you've got so much travel, you can just throw it down it.
Definitely.
And the braking bumps, I feel like I've got loads of grip, so I can go inside quite nicely.
Yeah.
And on the braking bumps, it feels fine anyway.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have said it was a track that clearly defined sort of the differences between the bikes.
No, obviously that's lighter throw around.
Yeah.
I quite like the weight of this for the bombing down the hills, but also thrown around, it kind of feels good. Although some of that North Shore was tight.
It was.
And actually, I was on the steering lock.
It was, because we had some like big sort of drop U-turns almost,
I was
weren't
having
they?
to pick the back wheel
Yeah,
up,
I
but-
did notice one thing actually, where this one did win.
Yeah.
When we were riding to the bottom of the other chairlift,
Yeah.
I couldn't see you behind me now.
I was pushing. Yeah, it was hideous. But, oh man, I'm loving the downhill bike. Anyway, so far so good.
Well, we have actually now come to a proper downhill trail, the Bergstad Trail.
Yeah.
Where things are going to get steeper, they're going to get rougher, rocky, rooty, faster.
Is it good, Rich? I've not ridden this one.
This is a good one, and I feel like you are definitely going to have an edge here.
Right. It's a big old drop. We're at like 2,000 metres. And the town is about 700, I think, so
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
It's a fair length, let's do it.
Yeah. Downhill bikes do cost a bit more. If you're looking at sort of equivalent spec compared to an enduro bike, they're about £500, €500 more, but they don't have to be. Check out that recent cheap downhill bike video we did. You can get them super cheap on old bikes, so don't have to cost you more.
The beauty then of an enduro bike is you can pretty much ride anywhere, anytime on it, from XC rides to bike park shreds. Now, an XC ride is obviously going to be a bit more of a slog than your thoroughbred XC bike, and when you get to the bike park, well, sometimes it can get pretty overwhelmed. However, that's not to say it's going to be fun all the time. I will warn you though, when you do put in those park laps, the chatter and roughness is going to quickly cause a lot of fatigue. It's pretty tiring riding one of these over them flipping braking bumps all of the time. Okay, Neil, let's talk bikes. And we all know the enduro bike is the jack of all trades. It does everything.
Yeah.
So I want to talk really about your downhill bike and more specifically, pros and cons.
Well, cons, yes, they can be expensive. And I guess they have a really limited use. We've kind of said already, pedaling them is just no good. Like, you don't want to do much of that. Pros, it is just the tool for the job if you're going to ride downhill. Even do big jumps, like, you know, free ride stuff. They're amazing for that. It reminds me how good they are when you come somewhere like this. We've got a super long 1,000 metre descent, so rough. It's absolutely brilliant. And if you're racing downhill, there's no better thing.
So they are a very good specific tool for a specific job, basically.
I guess the problem is, if it's going to be your one and only bike, you're going to have to live somewhere with a big hill that's got the gradient to need it. Otherwise, it's kind of a second bike for a lot of people. Yeah,
you do see a lot of these people pushing around trail centres to get to the bits of downhill and things like that. So yeah, you're right. You do need a big old large hill or a mountain to warrant something like that.
And it's more comfortable and it's like more forgiving. I could do way more laps on that bike than I could an enduro bike. And I'm not that fit. But do you know what I mean? For bike park, it was kind of equal, but for natural downhill, I'd have that every time, every day of the week. And
Okay.
And my last one, nothing looks cooler than a downhill bike.
All right, you're definitely sold on a downhill. I do love downhill bikes. So downhill isn't dead. Downhill bikes definitely are still alive, even if it's a little niche these days, maybe. But
let us know in the comments what you think about downhill bikes. If you thought, like we said in the cheap downhill bike video as well, I was like, you could buy one of these bikes for 600 quid. It could be your second bike. Yeah. It's not going to be like that sort of shiny and new. It might be a bit tired around the edges, but as like a downhill bike park bike, you could get one super cheap. Have a think about it.
Till next time, see ya.